Thank you, Camille, for your friendly introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, my dear colleagues, welcome here in the European Parliament to your project, Our Future Campaign Leadership Summit from the Junior German International. And I'm really happy that we finally managed to hold this meeting here in Brussels, in this house, with 5.5 million unemployed young people across Europe. It's absolutely crucial that the European Parliament, as the only democratically elected institution of the EU, really takes action in that field. As you can see, I'm a few seasons older than you are, and you ask now probably why I'm talking to you. It is true, I'm a member of the lucky generation. It's not a secret, I was born in 1952. Which means that, unlike my parents, fortunately I didn't have the experience with World War II. On the other hand, as a young man, I did not have the pressure and the fear of unemployment and precarious working condition which the current generation has to face. Of course, in many ways, my generation surely had not the same possibilities when we were young as probably you have. For instance, we didn't have the same opportunities to travel, study abroad, like Erasmus program. We did not know. And we did not get in touch to people around the world that you can do. The Iron Curtain was separating Europe, and I really don't want to say that everything was perfect in that time, but most of the European countries, like Austria, like Germany, had almost full employment when I was applying, and even me when I was applying for my first jobs. So to be frankly and honest, during the time when I studied in my hometown, or it's late in Salzburg, I did not really worry about getting a job later. Today the situation, as you know, is completely different. When the end of the studies approaches, you begin to apply for jobs. The expectations are huge. Studying in minimum time, Erasmus semester abroad, several traineeships, speaking at least like 3 different languages fluently. In best case, besides that all, you are involved in voluntary social work, and finally it's expected to be extremely flexible, to move within 5 years from a law firm to an NGO, and then to a lobby, and then you are expected to change from Brussels to London, from Hong Kong to New York. And of course, you consequently compete with young professionals from everywhere in the world, which wasn't the case for me when I was a student. All this, as I said in the beginning, doesn't affect me anymore, and to speak openly, I even don't have children. But I have a lot of intense contact with young people. Kids of my friends, contacts to my social employments that starts from the fire brigade to sporting clubs, till to the colleagues in my fraternity, young students. And these young students, like you are young professionals, trying to find their way. I do care, and it's making me sad to see that highly qualified and motivated young people already being frustrated at the beginning of their professional life, and this is why I'm here today. Indeed, employers are fully aware of there is a big offer of perfectly trained and skill-educated young people on the labor market, and they are aware that good jobs are rare in this time of crisis. Some of these employers abuse of this situation, to speak honestly and open, by employing highly qualified young people as unpaid trainees. And I have absolutely nothing against traineeships. Probably you met this morning 2 of my trainees. I have currently 2 trainees in my office. I believe this traineeship could build a perfect bridge between university knowledge and the practical skills needed at work. And however, what I criticize is the exploitation of young people by unpaid traineeships, especially when it concerns traineeships abroad. And it's very sad to mention that the European Parliament itself is not able to set a minimum pay for trainees. The payment completely depends on the gratitude of a member of the European Parliament. You can get around 1,000 euros monthly, like in my office, so you're friendly invited to ask for a traineeship. We can talk about later. But to come back to the serious situation, well, like in other cases, get nothing. And not even the expenses on travel and accommodation are paid. And last December I wrote a letter to Mr. President Schulz, and with the issue claiming that trainees contribute a lot with their works here, and the European Parliament should not only talk, they should also start in their own house to think about and begin with concrete steps against these precarious, unstable working conditions for young people. And the answer was a little bit disappointing. According to him, there is no will from the members of the Parliament to set such a minimum pay for trainees. Of course, the problem of youth unemployment is much broader than and more complex than the issue of students, trainees. Let's talk about the 7.5% of young Europeans neither have a job nor a vocational training opportunity. Despite this fact, 40% of European companies have difficulties to find workers with the right skills. Even in Austria we have the problem. How to close this gap? We will not find a quick solution, this is clear, but the first thing is to take a closer look at the best practices in systems of member states with relatively low youth employment rates, and my home country Austria is one of the states with one of the lowest rates, even though it's still too high. One of the main reasons, I think, is our dual education system, which combines practical work on one hand and vocational education at the school, at a vocational school in one course. Finally, the problem of youth unemployment massively concerns the southern member states, and this is a problem we know. Spain with 55.6% of unemployed young people, and Greece with 57.6%. The European Union must focus now at the problems of youth unemployment, otherwise this will lead to serious social problems. Frustration, lack of trust in the future can definitely lead to social and political unrest, even criminality. I therefore support a joint initiative for a commissioner of youth in the next legislature period. Maybe we could start to share ideas on that later. My dear colleagues, a lot of more to say, but it's better to make a break, leave the floor to Navi, and wish you for your project very fruitful and successful discussions. Thank you for giving me that chair, but you should sit in the middle and we make a switch because you are leading now this meeting. Thank you very much.